Hey everybody, and welcome to The Breakthrough Effect. I'm your host, Jared Sebesta. I've had two successful careers. First, I was an award-winning TV meteorologist, and then a financial marketing strategist. I was living the dream, making good money, but inside I was craving for something more, something bigger. So I stopped deferring life and I started creating exactly the life I was searching for. I doubled down on unlearning old mindsets and creating big breakthroughs for me and my family. And now I'm bringing that same transformation to you. Let's understand the rules of this game. Let's get clarity. Let's stop chasing and start becoming. This is the Breakthrough Effect.
What was happening is you were living with more of your positive brain centers activated. And these are all about abundance, positive possibility, problem solving, curiosity, and wonder versus protection of you versus, spinning in what could go wrong. Those brain centers, when they're activated, are going to be shooting out dopamine, endorphin, serotonin, oxytocin, these happy hormones, right? As opposed to a body that is chronically shooting out adrenaline and cortisol. And so literally, you had your mind in the right place for your body to stop over protecting itself and allow itself to grow and expand and change in positive ways.
All right, today on The Breakthrough Effect, I'm talking with Andrea Marcellus, a woman who turned a traumatic accident at NYU into a 25-year mission to revolutionize how busy, driven people think about fitness and life transformation. As the founder and CEO of And Life and the author of The Way In, Andrea has completely shattered the fitness industry's most sacred rules. While everyone else preaches more is more, Andrea has proven that working out less, not more, and treating food like a friend, not an enemy, creates sustainable transformation that lasts. Get ready for a breakthrough conversation that will challenge everything you think you know about fitness, productivity, and what it really takes to maximize your life without burning out. Andrea Marcellus, thank you so much for joining me today.
Wow, it's a pleasure to be here. It makes me nervous to hear all that I've done.
Well, you did it, not me. I'm just reading what you've done. So congratulations on your success so far.
Thank
I
you.
love it. We have a lot of overlap. I'm looking forward to this conversation. This is the first time on my show I've had somebody kind of more fitness oriented, which I'm a fan of, but I'm not an expert in. So I'm really excited to talk with you today.
Cool.
Let me get things started right off the bat. You and I both believe that your physical health and mental health are connected. When was the first time that you discovered that actually transforming your body can kind of be the catalyst, so to speak, to like breaking through in all levels of your life?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. So I think it's a couple of things. One, when I would say earlier on in my career, and this was the turning point moment of my career. So I've been in fitness for, I think it's 33 years this year. And the first 16 years of my career, I spent doing everything you and everybody else thinks you need to do to be fit, and the calorie and counting workouts and that blah, blah, blah. And I came up with this method of talking with my clients when they went on vacation. And I would, people that could get a spot in my schedule would never leave. And they were like very, 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 religious about making their appointments. They were dedicated, right? And so on vacation, I would use that as periodized time for them to rest. And I would tell them, you're not allowed to go to the hotel gym. You're not allowed to, you're only allowed to walk. And you're going to eat everything. Eat like anything you want. And I just created this hand portioning method, not the deck of cards business. That's ridiculous. Nobody wants to eat a deck of cards. But, it was a way that I could keep track of what they were doing because I know in a measurement of a hand what that means, in terms of a portion of vegetables, or it's like, 52 grams of protein in chicken. I know the stuff. You don't need to know it. But like what I discovered in that process is everybody would go away on vacation. And I gave them a schedule to eat on, but they were just measuring foods, kind of eyeballing, measuring with their hands, and they were eating everything, and they were doing nothing but walking, and everybody either maintained weight or lost weight. And I started to realize, wow, why is this? And that's when I started to get an inkling of how much stress played a role. This was a time and also activating certain brain centers. When you're on vacation, you're experiencing new things. New activates this prefrontal cortex of your brain. Generally, you're pretty relaxed, you're happy, we're shutting off the amygdala of the brain, fear and anxiety center. And I realized, wow, this plays a role. And I needed to learn more about that. And then also the idea that if you are eating what I wanted to call energy appropriate portions of food on a schedule, and this is different for each person, and I find your own hands pretty well estimate how much you need, that you have excellent digestion. You can get away with eating a lot more what I call social foods than you think, and allows you to participate with other people, allows you to really enjoy your life. So that was the first inkling I got. And then later, I really started, and this was toward the pandemic, in that time, in my own stress and, my own worry, I really started studying the brain in a more in-depth way. And I started to learn how, I created a method to basically shut off this amygdala. So I approached the brain like a personal trainer approaches the body. I took my training expertise and I just kind of I can make stuff up. I can make up things to do. I can make up choreography essentially. And I made up things that I knew would activate certain brain centers and shut off that amygdala of your brain, because your brain is a flashlight of focus. It's either doing this or it's doing that. It can't do both things at once. And so I started creating this method of being able to activate positive brain centers that would shut off the fear and anxiety center. And this put people at a hormonal advantage. So instead of shooting out so much adrenaline and the dreaded cortisol, we're shooting out endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin, and we're hormonally advantaging people. And I really started diving into hormones and diving into this connection between the brain and the gut, and that how we can be in charge of it with simple strategies that take 60 to 90 seconds. And they're literally just activating this part of your brain, shutting off this other thing. And so these were the two major pivotal moments, I think, in my career where I really started to understand how the brain and the body are connected and how they can work in service to elevating one another.
Okay, let's do a hard stop right there. So there's a lot to break down, that was incredible. I heard two pieces, and I want to break each of these down a little bit more. You talked about how, when people go on vacation, there's just less stress. So there's a stress element, if I'm hearing you correctly, that we have too much stress. I would love to know, what we can do to alleviate that, so our bodies and our minds essentially are functioning more in alignment with how they're supposed to function. But I'm also hearing you say too that your thoughts, your brain can have a play in this as well. It can actually get out ahead of the change in your own body. Am I hearing you correctly?
Yeah, it's fascinating. We're now able to see the effect of your thoughts on a cellular level. But we can't just, it's not like we could just toxic positivity ourselves into weight loss and well-being. You know what I mean? Your body's not fooled. It has to be a systemic shift, right?
Yes.
So when you talk about, okay, what can you do? We can't change the stressors in our life, but we can train our brain to one, stop over responding to stress in a protective way. That's hormonally. In the first place, we can shift that. And we can also shift in the moment anxious energy into positive, productive energy. And that's through some very simple strategies. For example, to train your brain to stop over responding to stress, we can use physical positions that create physical stress very quickly. You can do a plank. You can hold, chair pose from yoga, which is essentially a squat with your arms up. These things will get your heart rate going. They will get very quickly your legs are very unhappy with you. Your body starts to feel this physical strain. And the trick is that you do not let your face do anything. And you're breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, or just nasal breathing, which puts it changes your body chemistry in an advantageous way. And the idea is that by being curious about your edge rather than acknowledging the pain, right? By being in discomfort and being curious in a place of discomfort and being calm in a place of discomfort physically, that translates to now a mental practice as well. And so if you do this regularly, you give yourself this opportunity to train your brain by not responding to physical stress, then when circumstantial or emotional stress comes at you, you will find that you are not as responsive. The brain it responds hormonally to protect you. And that amygdala in your brain is only set off by one of two things. It's scarcity or threat in some way. And if we are trained, then we don't need that protection, and the brain just sort of gets that.
Mm-hmm. So again, I heard you say we can't change the stressors in our life, but we can change how we react to them. So you're coming at physical breakthrough, physical transformation from a thought perspective. Right. You talked about how to be able to harness those and react and maybe put your body in a position in a less reactive state. And then that translate. I mean, I don't think you're not saying we still don't have to work out and eat,
No. This is a third pillar. So when I work with people, obviously we're getting food and gear, we're optimizing, right? Mm-hmm. But it's always purposeful and intentional and goal specific, and it has to be fast. Consistency is the way that we really up level with things that we can be consistent. So it's very important that everything's really personalized. And so of course you're finding optimal foods that are very fast for an individual person to toss together, and it's different for every person. Same with the exercise. It's like there are certain things we have to do, but boy, we can do them pretty fast, and we can do it in a way that makes you happy. So we figure that out. But the third pillar that isn't being talked about enough is this brain training, where you are training your brain to put yourself at a hormonal advantage so you do not have as much cortisol floating out, which, we all understand now insulin is being set, and then people become insulin resistant, they're gaining weight, right? So by training your brain, we're preventing that. And the adrenaline piece of the amygdala protecting you, the adrenaline response to stress, that is what's fueling soothing behaviors. It's too much energy with nowhere to go. It's frantic energy with nowhere to go. And so what do? The first and the easiest thing is to activate the vagus nerve that is connected to the jaw, chewing. We learn this from a baby, with a pacifier. That motion is the fastest way to rest and digest. So the adult way of dealing with stress the quickest is chewing. And that's why we get into a place where you have a body that has too much cortisol floating around, so it's got a predilection to storing fat. And then you have too much adrenaline floating around, so it gives you a predilection to munching. No. And so there is a brain component to all of this as well.
It makes total sense. And you're talking about a physiological change that's happening through a thought or a change in thought. It's really interesting how you're framing this together. I can't help but share this, and I want to hear your opinion as to what was actually happening when the light started turning on this emotional, mental, mindset side of life. For me, it was about three and a half years ago, and things were happening. I lived in fear, lack, and scarcity for so long. Had a lot of anxiety that a lot of people didn't know, but I would regularly wake up at 3:05 every morning and just pace around the house. And I was living in lack is really what I was doing. I didn't know how to articulate it at the time. Then I went through the course of the year of 2022 and 2023, and I started to really just start to awaken to this idea and really start to change my thought patterns. I've never not worked out, Andrea, since I was 15 years old, but I've gone through seasons where I've been better shape than others. Something miraculous started to happen with my body to the point where on the daily, people are texting me and they're like, what are you doing? What are you eating or not eating? What's your workout routine? Did you hire a coach? Whose workout app are you using? And honestly, I wasn't doing anything different. I was doing the same thing, except my body was responding differently. I've always sat at 215. And before I knew it, I was 199. I haven't been under 200 since I was in my 20s. And I took a picture of it and posted on Instagram with my feet in the scale. It said 199. And I said, amazing things happen when you get your mind right. I didn't understand how kind of prophetic that was. But in your opinion, because it was like my true body like was screaming to come through as my mind was changing. You know what I'm saying? So
yes, I do. This is what I do for a living.
Correct.
Yes.
So through your lens, what was actually happening in the emotional, physiological, and even spiritual side?
Yeah, so what was happening is you were living with more of your positive brain centers activated, I want to say. And this is like neurology for dummies, right? So I'm going to say when a stressor would come up, your prefrontal cortex, your hippocampus, your cerebellum, these parts of the brain are activating. And these are all about abundance, positive possibility, problem solving, curiosity, and wonder versus protection of you versus, spinning in what could go wrong. Oh no,
yes.
Blah, 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 blah.
Self-pity,
right?
all of it.
And so those brain centers, when they're activated, are going to be shooting out dopamine, endorphin, serotonin, oxytocin, these happy hormones, right? As opposed to a body that is chronically shooting out adrenaline and cortisol. Now, there's a cascade effect. Adrenaline and cortisol being shut out all the time impacts your adrenal glands, and you start to suffer from something called adrenal fatigue. Your adrenal gland is mission command for all your hormones. So let's just do math. If that's operating at, say, 70% because it's just tired, everything else is operating at less than optimal capacity. What happens in the body? Inflammation, gut imbalance. Nothing, your gut microbiome becomes imbalanced and your body becomes inflamed. Nothing can function well under those conditions. And when you start to reduce inflammation, when you start to allow your gut microbiome to come back in balance, the gut-brain axis, you hear that term, it's a very powerful connection. They work together, and then the body relaxes and basically chills out from overprotecting itself, and then the good things can happen.
Yeah.
And so literally, you had your mind in the right place for your body to stop overprotecting itself and allow itself to grow and expand and change in positive ways and release what it doesn't need, which is stored fat. Often I express to people that the weight they're seeing on their abdomen is a symbol of how much mental weight they're carrying. Fat is like a life preserver, and your body is not going to let it go unless it feels like you can swim.
It's fascinating. Thank you for that. I remember when I was sitting at 213, I'm 6'6", so it's not like that's right. Morbidly obese, but I could have stand to lose a few lbs. And I remember thinking at the time, I would love to be about 205, but I don't really know how I'd ever get there because I've done it. I've done all the things. I've done all the things, and effortlessly it was melting away. And people are like, and then boom, I'm at the time 45 years old, 44 years old, got my six pack back since college, doing the same things that I had been doing for years. It was this. There was no way to explain it than when I experienced it. And I was like, this was a transformation in my mind and the inner being, and my outer world changed. And that seems so hard for people to understand, but that's what it really is. You know what I mean?
Now, to be fair, you were doing other things right.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So for other people, and it's very different for every single person. This is what's fascinating for me. I have in my Shape Up Body, in my program, what I call it's a discovery process. It's certainly a methodology. People go through this process, but it allows their body to reveal what works best for them within the framework of the actual lifestyle they live, so that the results are lasting and permanent. You know what I mean? You have to live your real life. You can't just and that it's stressful in and of itself. See, this is why diets don't work, calorie counting and stuff like that. They literally, at first it's an identity that makes you happy with yourself. You're doing a thing, so you can do it. But the minute you end up in a social situation where, you have to say no thank you too many times, scarcity kicks in. Yep. You start to become aware of what you can't have, not what you can have. This identity starts to fade away, and the identity becomes one of lack, right? What you can't have, who you are. And if you don't stick to these things, how you'll fail. These are all the triggers of that amygdala of the brain. There are triggers that put you at what? A hormonal disadvantage. So you're counting all your calories, you're doing everything right, in air quotes, but you're flatlining. Why? Because your brain wasn't in the right place, amongst other things.
It's just such a fascinating conversation. It's not one-dimensional. It's multidimensional. And as science continues to kind of catch up to what the body has already known for thousands of years, to me, I find it just really fascinating. And again, I've experienced it firsthand. And this is who I am. I mean, like, this is who I am. Like, to where my body is now at almost 47, this is who I am. And that's what actually makes me feel the most good. That's not even proper English, but that's what makes me feel the best, is that it's not that I'm in shape. It's that this is who I actually am. Yeah. And so it's such a deep conversation. This isn't about getting a six pack. It's about becoming who you actually are in your most optimal state.
That's right. People who feel their best do their best. And that's what I'm interested in for people. It's what I say I'm setting up for them. It's not about weight loss. I'm setting up what I call a fulfillment lifestyle. Yeah, the pounds go. They do. But they go because we're focused on, what do you need to be fit for? What do you want to lose this weight for? It's not Instagram photos. Like, it's to do things. It's to feel a certain way about yourself, which generates an energy that then you pour into your life. It's the gift you have to give. And it's not vanity. Every time we look in the mirror, if what we see is not generating energy and joy for us, then that, whatever feelings are coming up, that's the energy we're putting out into the world. And so many people are limiting themselves because they're just not feeling their best. And when we pair strategies that are going to help you energetically optimize every single day, get some of this weight off, get your digestion in gear. Yeah, we get the body flowing, but when we know what all of it's for, that what you're going to be able to do, that creates purpose, and purpose is what drives motivation. It's very easy to stay consistent when there's a good reason for what you're doing, and the pathway there is an enjoyable one.
Beautifully put. I love that. We could sit on this one for a while. Let's turn the corner. Well, no, I mean, really, it's such a powerful conversation. And if people can understand this connection between mind, body, spirit, because that's not the verbiage you're using, but in essence, it's the whole body. That's why I'm not a fitness expert, but right. I certainly am an advocate, because I understand the connection between our mental health, our spiritual health, our emotional health, and our growth. They're all connected in mysterious ways that you understand more than I do, but they're certainly connected, no doubt about it. I love that. Sure. You talk about the rule of awesome. You say if it's not awesome, don't do it, right? So, like, what breakthrough did you have that led to you coming up with this approach?
How did I come up? I'm not sure. I think I just drew a line in the sand one day I was tired of feeling like my life was all about my responsibilities and obligations that were all chosen. And, I love them and I work really hard. I love my work, but there's got to be more. And I found myself, leaning into those things. If you think about what you get done in a day, so often what we get done in a day are the things that have to do with other people or for other people or responsive to other people first, right? And we get on this hamster wheel in life of responsibilities and obligations. And when there's obvious milestones to life up to a certain point. You go to high school, you maybe go to college, or you get some sort of a trade, you partner up personally, you partner up professionally, maybe you get a home, maybe you have children, maybe you're like, okay. And then we get to a place where it's like, now what? And, now what tends to be, making money, like you're saving for the future, what future? What are you going to do with your future? People have no idea. And I think rule of awesome is about be happy now. Like, whoa, wait a minute. What am I doing with every single day? And what rule of awesome, I think it became like, I don't want to waste time. And I love my work, but I really want to feel like, it's not someday I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And so I think, and it's about generating energy. So it's making sure there's stuff every single day that's new, that's different, that's interesting, and that is aligned with what really makes me happy and my purpose. So, and Rule of Awesome is great because it just creates some parameters. It's choosing your worth. Every choice we make is a symbol to ourself of our own worth. And when you, as a habit, choose great things, exceptional things, the best things for yourself, you start to feel that way about yourself. It's the energy you generate. So I think it was really that. It was about helping myself shift into another level in my career. I think it was helping myself shift personally to not be just living up to what I thought was expected of me or obligations or responsibilities. But it's like, I think that's where it came from. But that's like getting into down this esoteric road. What it really is like, like it helps people channel their energy in positive ways every day and make sure every day is a joy.
I'm curious to hear how you frame this up and how you kind of do your visioning. I'm always staying about a year ahead. I'm living in the moment, in the present, but yet I'm always viewing my current decisions, my day, what I'm doing, what I'm choosing to invest my time, energy, effort into. It's based off of that guy. And I always point to my right because that's like, that makes sense. Like that guy, 2020, Jared in a year, that guy, he's the one making the decisions now. I'm making them in honor of him. How do you frame that up? Because you're saying the same thing, but how do you come to that point where you are indeed choosing the awesome thing? How do you know which ones those are?
So I have this exercise I do with all my clients called personal authenticity, and it helps them, to really understand yourself. You have to define not only who you are, but who you are not. And I don't mean with adjectives. It's like, I go through what are all the things that generated the most energy in your life? There's a through line to those types of events, those types of things you've done. And also, what are the things in your life that have sucked the life out of you? There's a through line. And when you really think about that, and you live your life somewhere heading always toward things that are going to generate the most energy and avoiding, things or saying no thank you to things that are going to suck the life out of you, you are on this lane of your best energy. And that's what it is. And Rule of Awesome helps you stay in that lane. Rule of Awesome helps you discern, is this going to generate energy and joy, or is this going to suck me down? You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like this. With clients, the obvious version is I say the brownie. Somebody offers you brownie, you take the bite of the brownie. If this is the best brownie, if this thing is awesome, finish that brownie. If it is not, which 85% of the time it's not, finish the bite, wrap the rest in a napkin, give it to a child, or chuck it. You know what I mean? Like, okay, with your clothes in your closet, you put them on in the morning. If they're making you go, oh, maybe in 5 pounds I could wear this. Oh, that button's broken. Like, give it away. You're going to feel so good giving it away. That thing you bought on sale, but the color's not right. Give it away. You want to put things on that generate energy and joy, that make you feel awesome right now, who you are right now. The invitations you accept with your time. That's Rule of Awesome. And so for me, actually, it's very interesting because I am so forward focused always, and I'm so I'm an ambitious person, and I'm really trying to do a whole lot with my life and my days. My work and my journey has actually been being very present. It's to stop moving the goalpost every time I achieve something and actually celebrate for a second. Like, that's actually my awesome, is being very much who I am exactly right now, where I am, and to stop projecting forward, when this, if that, whatever. For me, but this is what I mean. It's everybody has to apply it to themselves. But my awesome is what's awesome today.
Yeah. I love that. I love how you bring it back to energy, because that it really is about energy, especially when you go into business and entrepreneurship, like where you and I stand right now. It's really, you gotta stay like top of the game energy, because if stuff starts sucking the energy out of you, man, like this thing's going to go down like a sunken ship fast. So I love how you approach that. And I think that's a great word. Like, if what you're doing is sucking the energy out of you, stop. It's not worth it, because it's not even that it's not worth your time. It's like what that energy is producing, because that energy has the ability to project you into the next level, the next sphere of influence, or whatever that looks like for you, wherever you're trying to go, or it has the ability to kind of sabotage you as well. You've worked with a lot of high achievers. I want to ask you this before we land this plane here, but so you work with people on the high end of achievement, success. Like what are some things that you've seen that they do that kind of sabotage their growth and development physically, financially, emotionally, mentally, that you've seen?
Oh, the number one, without a doubt, is that their life is so driven by external validation. And this is part of the game. Like, that's not their fault, like, necessarily. But, you talk about a pro athlete or you talk about a celebrity. I mean, literally what people think of them or external validator stats show determines their worth, like literally their worth, dollar value worth. Will you get to work? How often will you get to work? How much will you get to work? And how much will you be paid for that work? Like there is, so it's not even just external validators that we deal with in life, but it's so measurable and it's so constant, and it determines whether or not you get to do what you love to do to a certain level. So that's been, in terms of physical and mental well-being, one of the biggest pitfalls that I see people like that happen. And they're, obviously professional athletes they stay in shape, but for celebrities, like you hear about somebody gaining and losing weight, they lost weight for this role, they put it back on, they a lot of yo-yoing, a lot of self-judgment and self-criticism, and a lot of mental ups and downs with all that. It's because they do things so unsustainably that then, and in a need to validate why they have this role for that job. And then it was just so hard even getting there and staying there. They were white knuckling it the whole time that they revert back to some place where they're not at their best. And the answer, of course, is somewhere in the middle, right? But they can't, the ones who do the best are the ones who are really grounded in a reality of their family, their friends. They live pretty small. They're not out there looking to have their picture taken every second, or they're not out there. Like they're very, and so more celebrities than not are actually, it is the opposite of what people think. They don't, they're just living their life, doing their thing. And I think a lot of them are really trying to stay out of that spotlight and just have a normal existence because it's better for them. And when too much attention is put, then they notice themselves in different ways. And then that puts a pressure that they weren't putting on themselves before that. And then that creates what? We go back to the brain, a lot of scarcity and threat. That amygdala gets activated. What if I can't live up to this idea of who I'm supposed to be or how people see me?
And then you need that validation to then fill up that gap, so to speak. How do you stay validated where you don't need, we desire, but we don't need that external validation? How do you do that for you?
I think I've just reached a point where I believe myself. I've been doing what I do for so long, and I've helped so many people, and in really hard situations, medical situations. We are extremely successful with perimenopausal and menopausal people who come to me with boxes of clothes crying that they feel like they can't get in, with men that think like, I can't do whatever, I can't cook, I can't whatever. I had a 7-year-old CEO starting to cook for himself, not because someone he can't afford to have somebody else to do it. It's because it was part of his mental well-being work, doing things with your hands. I think it's that I've just done enough and had it work well enough. And I believe myself.
Sure.
We all have a line where you start to go, what my gift and what I have to share has been received by enough people that I believe myself. So I don't quite need the same validation anymore. But it took me a long time to get here. I got to be honest, And every time I make a new product or a new service, I'm nervous. I care so much. And, I get a little nervous that, is this going to do for people what I say it's going to do? But now I know I've done enough and I'm putting things together with such care that, I'm pretty confident, or else I don't put it out.
Well, I think you said that beautifully. You are your own validation,
Yeah.
And then when I ask that question to people, I said, what do you need to be validated? What do you need to feel whole? And it's actually a trick question because there isn't anything, and so you become the validation. And so you kind of achieve that, which actually opens you up to do better, more impactful work when you're coming from a place of wholeness, of validation. When you need the validation, then you're acting out of scarcity. And now you're acting from the wrong part of your brain, and now it's not in alignment. So again, the conversation today focused on physical well-being, much of it, but yet it's all connected, and it all leads to people's breakthroughs. So I want to thank you for joining me here today. This has been a stellar conversation. We could go another hour and a half without trying. Before I let you go, tell me, where can people find more about you and support your causes?
Yeah, so you can find me on social channels, Andrea Marcellus on Instagram, or Andrea Marcellus Official on TikTok is huge. And I'm going to actually be starting to do some really cool stuff on YouTube. So, just follow my social channels, and that has where to find me and get more information. But that's also going to give you real actionable things you can just start to put in your place put in your life right now. And nothing makes me happier than seeing people just do well with really small things.
Boom. Andrea in the house. Holy cow. You're a beast, not in a beautifully wonderful way. That's how I meant that.
I like being a beautiful beast. It's all good. I will take it.
If this conversation sparked something in you, don't let it fade. Please rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform. Don't forget to connect with me online as well. Follow me at Jared Sebesta on Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube, or dive deeper at my website, jaredsebesta.com, where all my free trainings and resources are waiting for you. And remember, stop chasing the life you want and start becoming. This is the Breakthrough Effect. We'll see you next time.